Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Cody Cup, Henny Cutter gave in.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings that wounded me.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
Are you there, Judge? Hey, everybody. I don't think we can hear you, Judge. Hi, Robert.
Yeah, bonjour, Lisa. Yeah, Robert, we can't hear you. Good to see you.
Yes, you too. Yeah, we can see you, Judge. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. But I'll just say a good greetings. Hey, Kadagi, to all of our friends and relatives in the four directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio, where we discuss local and national news. I'm just reading this for my Jaji here, Robert Pilot, the host of Native Roots Radio, and he'll get his sound going in just a moment here. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. This portion of the show is supported by Native Roots Trading Post. Shop now at cause-cart.shop and search for Native Roots to find your resist gear. And thank you, Pinagigi, for everyone for all your support. Let's see. And it looks like Jaji will be getting that worked out here. I was just with him. I was just talking with him, and the sound was fine. So I'm sure he'll figure this out in no time, Robert.
Yeah, no, I was listening. No sweat. And I could hear him before, and then all of a sudden it just went out.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
And there he is. There's the radio host voice.
Yay. Hey, Robert, thanks for being on. And Jaleesa, thanks for stepping in there in the real professional way that you can do. And I appreciate that. Hey, Robert, our friend, our CEO and president of Native American Community Development Institute here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And always great to have you on. A lot going on nationally and locally. And also today I was at the market and very local. So welcome and thanks for being on.
Yeah, bonjour, you two. It's always so good to be here. Thanks for having me. I didn't see you at the market today, Robert. Sorry, I must have missed you. But that's the Four Sisters Farmers Market, one of the projects of the Native American Community Development Institute.
Looks like we lost Robert there for a second.
Is it the storms over here in St. Paul? What's going on?
I don't know. It's sometimes, and I've noticed I've done this too. When I come on, I accidentally hit stop or exit, and sometimes that happens because my computer or laptop's a little frisky. Hey, there's Robert again.
Here I am. I'm back. You couldn't get rid of me that easily, Robert. Yeah. You didn't want me on the show. Just tell me.
Oh no, just the opposite.
Canceled. Yeah, so I was just talking about the market. Sorry I missed you there. It was a great market day, even with the kind of drizzly weather we're having.
Good.
And so that's Four Sisters Farmers Market. It's on the American Indian Culture Corridor, East Franklin Avenue, every Thursday from 11 to 3 during market season. So stop on out. It's kind of the place to see and be seen on the Culture Corridor.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry I missed the food truck. I don't know if you want to talk about Powwow's food truck, but that I saw the pictures. That was beautiful, and there was homage to a lot of the great leaders of Franklin Avenue and American Indian movement.
Yeah, so it's one of the Native-owned businesses active on the American Indian Culture Corridor. It's called the Fry Bread Factory, and it's owned and operated by Bob Rice, who owns and operates Powwow Grounds Coffee Shop, which is kind of one of the community meeting places. He also does catering, is a successful entrepreneur. So he's been moving this this food truck around the community, powwows and things for a while now. And he finally got it wrapped in a vinyl wrap this week. And it's beautiful. It's bright yellow, Fry Bread Factory. And Then on one side it has traditional dancers, images of traditional dancers, and then on the other side, like you said, Robert, it's revered community leaders, ancestors now. So ancestors who founded AIM and led AIM, founded all kinds of cultural movements and things. It's beautiful. I haven't seen it in person yet either. Bob's got the food truck up on the White Earth Reservation this weekend for the powwow up there. So he wasn't at the market. You'd be surprised how many people came to buy lunch at the food truck and to see the new ramp.
Yeah, definitely. Well, how are you doing? And geez, I'm going to be going the 50-50 march, or not march, but get together at the Capitol on Saturday. And last time I was there for that, there was thousands and thousands of people. And, it's Trump's birthday, and he's going to have a big $93 million military show of strength. I guess he thinks he's Russia or something, but
yeah, well, I'm glad you're going. Thanks for representing. I'm sure there'll be a ton of people at the Capitol. I got to go represent at some Met Council events, and I'd love to talk about them in a minute. But yeah, I'm just thrilled to see how much organizing is going on for Saturday, and in such really diverse places. Lots of rural demonstrations and gatherings, and that's the voice of the people, right? It's a powerful thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw somewhere, and I don't know if you can help me with this, but I heard that if you could do 2% of the population can change things, whether they're shutting down their business for a day or whether they're protesting, and can change things. Have you ever heard anything like those numbers? And I don't know if I'm asking that question right.
Well, I get the question, and I don't know. I apologize, but it doesn't surprise me. I would think that number could be very low. And a couple of thoughts. One is within the Native community, right? We're not a huge population, but when we can come together, agree on an objective and agree on a message and deliver that message in a unified way, it's very powerful. And I've just experienced that so much, especially lately, probably since Standing Rock, right? And the power of a well-crafted message consistently delivered. And we can disagree, and we can take time to get to that objective or that message as a community. But once we're united, we can do a lot. So,
yeah, that's a really good point. And I didn't even really think of that when it came to what we've done since Standing Rock. I mean, we've done this show. I feel like a lot of things have happened in the arts too, whether it's television shows, movies, Pray, all these things that have happened because we've been out front, and really it's been an amazing journey.
It has, Robert. I agree. And, all what you just cited, I would characterize as narrative change, right? And in a very deliberate way, Native people have been engaging in steering our own narrative for quite a while, very aggressively and actively for maybe 10 years or so. But it's an example of that, right? There was work done to establish pathways and strategies. People embraced them. People supported each other, which is huge, and the narrative is changing. So that's
I remember it is huge. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I remember having a Madonna Thunderhawk on, and she talked about prior to Standing Rock that there had been a lull in activism and where all the people went, and then Standing Rock happened, and it just exploded, and people got involved and really are speaking their truths and in so many different ways, whether it's language, art, and resisting.
Right. And systems change, right? That's kind of what our organization, NACD, is part of Native American Community Development Institute. And you talk about the small number again, and I know there are sayings about the small number of people who can change the world, but I always view organizing as sort of the power of one, right? You're one person with a position. You bring somebody else, you're two. You each bring somebody else, you're four. And that's how you can centrically grow a movement.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, the next segment here, I want you to talk about Met Council and what you're doing and things like that, and have you kind of take over the show. Hey, we're with Robert Lilligren and Jaleesa McKee. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The easy all-in-one plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus many extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a to-go card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
Your heart beats for generations.
Your heart is so many things. It beats all the time, and it works very hard to keep you moving through your day, keeping your thoughts clear. It's the most important organ in your body.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. Taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats. That's hennepin.us/heart-beats.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
I love that tagline. Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, Native American friend and also the CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And, you know, you do so much with the community and for the community. And I always have to honor Wendy, and she goes, ask Robert to talk about what he wants to talk about. So I'm giving you this whole segment here, and let's have a conversation.
I don't think you've ever given me that much time before, Robert. I mean, go ahead. So just talking about the Native American Community Clinic, if you were down on the Cultural Corridor at the market today, you saw their new building, right? Going on. The pylons are driven, the excavation is happening. They're building a 6-story structure right on the Cultural Corridor, taking out an old strip mall that they were able to purchase. And there'll be 2 floors, I think, of services, and then 4 floors of housing, affordable housing. So it's so impressive. It's really going to yank up the works until next fall, a year from September, but it's worth it. You know, it's positive change.
Yeah, it's really happening. And the first inkling was that parking lot was torn up because that's where the building's going to be.
Right. And so parking over there is really tense. I actually had a meeting in that mall, Ancient Traders at American Indian Community Development Corporation today. And they said, they're having to pad 15 minutes of grace into all of their meetings because nobody can find parking over there now. So,
wow.
So we adapt.
It's exciting, and I kind of alluded to, the last few years really taking off, the partnerships that you're involved, the Native American Community Development Institute's involved, and the whole corridor. Did you ever think when you were a city council member that this would happen? Because it feels like there's just a great surge in Native American things happening.
Right, in presence, and especially along East Franklin, the American Indian Cultural Corridor. And so I would say yes and no. You know, we had an inkling, and probably, almost 15 years ago now, NACD convened the community and really helped lift up this community vision of the cultural corridor along East Franklin. There's such a historic Native presence along this corridor in this community. Native orgs and tribes and businesses own a majority of property in this about a mile stretch of Franklin Avenue, the cultural corridor. It's an expanding presence on the cultural corridor. And so there was a vision that's now a little over 10 years old. I was listening to a couple meetings about this today and how to expand this vision of the cultural corridor, the American Indian Cultural Corridor, and that it's kind of time now to take it to the next level. So it looks kind of different from this community vision from maybe 15 years ago, but things grow kind of organically and things. So I'm thrilled at the progress we're making and the progress we can make. And did I envision it looking just like this? No, I didn't. And back in the day, I lived just off East Lake Street, and that was when it was kind of a sex trade stretch of East Lake Street from 35W to about Chicago Avenue. So I was there in the thick of that, and all those dirty bookstores and saunas closed down, and it was all boarded up for a few years, which we felt was improvement. And then it was rival communities that came in, were willing to invest and open businesses along this. Was in a very dicey part of the city, and it was so thrilling to me as someone involved in the community. And that was when I was on my trajectory to serve on Minneapolis City Council. And I always believed that it would get better, right? But I didn't know it would be Somali and Latino immigrants that did it. So now that same stretch of Lake Street is kind of threatened, right? We've been seeing sorts of federal militarized law enforcement movements against those communities here.
Absolutely, and really good point. I also too remember, because I'm old, is that Franklin Avenue really had a lot of bars and stuff, and that isn't the case at all now.
Yeah, they're all the bars. I wasn't down there then, but I heard the Corral. That was a big one. So I grew up in the far northern part of the metro area here, but my folks would come down and socialize on the bars in Franklin. Now, those in a lot of ways were the social centers, right? But they excluded a lot of people. Right? But they did spark a lot of activism, and in some ways, American Indian Movement, AIM, came together to protect especially Native women as they were moving to and from those bars. And they were vulnerable victims along East Franklin Avenue. So yes, they weren't the best sort of part of our community, but they were a part of our community, and they have a history there.
Yeah, that's interesting how you said that it was kind of a meeting place, and now we have all these places where our meeting places that are really safer, and we have that beautiful Minneapolis American Indian Center. Last night I was at for a wake for Jim Claremont.
Very sad, revered elder. And right. So that was part of claiming that geography that we're still continuing to claim. Leveraging the assets of the Native presence there, the Native organizations and businesses, and it's funny you should bring up the Indian Center. I've been there a couple times this week. And it's this beautiful American Indian Center. It's been around for a long time, over 50 years. And just in the last few years, it got quite a remodel and update, and it's gorgeous. And this week, I met along with some of the other Native org leads who are involved in economic development or developing of the community. And we met with representatives of the Federal Reserve. And they're very interested in what we're doing here and how we organize our work here in the urban Indian community. They acknowledge our successes. A lot of this centered around the Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors collaborative leadership model. And I don't know if folks know this. So there's, I think, about 9 Federal Reserve offices throughout the country. They all have these regions. Some of them are pretty big. And Minneapolis has a Federal Reserve. And unique in the country, Minneapolis has a division of our Federal Reserve that's called Center for American Indian Country Development. and it's supportive of both reservation-based and urban-based communities' work. And they don't directly fund a lot of development, but they're a great research agency and policy generating. So they wanted to come. So there was representatives from Oklahoma City, Federal Reserve, and another kind of plains area, one and I just can't remember. But they wanted to come and just kind of pick our brains and hear our stories and what it is we think that's worked and what hasn't worked. And it was really an enriching conversation. I was really honored to be in that room.
It's affirming. It's so affirming to what you guys are doing.
Right. And to what people across Indian country are doing and trying to do. But there is a national recognition that in an urban setting where it's complicated, right? We have so many tribal identities represented that we come together as a community to try to define our vision, our goals, what economic development means to us, and not following the broader ruthless capitalist model, So yeah, it was really, really affirming to be in that space.
Wow, that must just feel good. And I guess I'm kind of, thinking back to, when you were a junior in high school or a senior in high school, and and all of a sudden we could practice our own religion,
Right. Yeah, that was a switch, right? We've talked about this before. We're about the same age. And with the passage of the American Indian Freedom of Religion Act in 1978, suddenly stuff kind of seeped in to my education experience, public education that had never been there before. And it was all kind of new and everything. And now to look, I guess this would be a couple generations later now, but to look at the progress made, and even with the graduation celebrations and powwows and ceremonies going on around the Twin Cities with all the Native graduates, it's so affirming. It's like, that started to change due to the activism of AIM and others that led to landmark legislations around cultural practices, Indian education. And so it really works. It really works.
Yeah.
Well, that's so awesome. And it's always so great to get updates from you, because you're well connected in the community for one, but you also have that history that we joked about, in 1978, and
long history.
I thought he was Italian. Oh, wow.
I love hearing about the history, Robert. That's great. I love Minneapolis and that community, and it's great to hear about.
Thanks. I'm a third generation Minneapolis urban Indian.
Very cool.
I'll try to embrace that urban history, right?
Yes.
Well, Robert, really, really appreciate you being on as always, and we'll see you next week, and we'll see you on the corridor. And I'm really excited with the history and everything. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks. Thank you.
Pinagigi.
Hey, Native Roots, right on. Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Hey listeners, there's an exciting invitation for you. This Juneteenth, come celebrate with Minuteman Press Uptown, the largest Black-owned print shop in Minnesota. On June 19th, you're invited to tour your favorite local union print shop. It will be a fun experience where you can see creativity in action, enjoy refreshments, win prizes, and learn about their important role as the only BIPOC union printer in the Midwest. Mark your calendars for June 19th at 4024 Washington Avenue North in Minneapolis. That's 4024 Washington Avenue North. See you there.
The Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans is conducting a community needs survey. Two-Spirit and Native queer voices are sacred and must be heard. Your experiences will guide programs and policies that support our relatives across Minnesota. The survey is confidential and available at mnqt.info/survey. The May 31st deadline has been extended through June. Celebrate Pride Month and honor your story by participating.
This is Mitch, owner of Junk Masters. Feeling overwhelmed by clutter? Spring's the perfect time to reclaim your space and peace of mind. Renting a dumpster is costly, and it all ends up in the landfill. Just show us what goes. We give usable items a second life by donating them. No calling all over town trying to figure out who takes what. We do the legwork for you. Easy, cost-effective, and local. There's no obligation. Visit junkmastersmn.com today.
Your time is precious. Why are you still mowing your own lawn? I'm Alex Knorr, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. At Buzzcut Mowing, I offer weekly mowing, leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I work hard so you can relax and enjoy time with family and friends. Call today and I'll handle the rest. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Celebrate 57 years of Electric Fetus at the store-wide anniversary sale now through June 15th. Take 20% off almost everything in the store, including new and used vinyl, CDs and DVDs, clothing, books, incense, Electric Fetus t-shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and more. Some restrictions apply. The store is open 10 to 6 Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sunday. Electric Fetus is located just south of downtown Minneapolis at 2000 South 4th Avenue. More info at electricfetus.com. Sale ends Sunday.
Hello, everyone. I am Becky McNatton, along with Tara Martini, hosts of Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This Sunday, tune in as we process through friendships that both help and hinder mental well-being.
If you have a question about friendships in your life, visit our website at www.becomingtogethermn.com and look for the Feels Out Loud page. We may just share your question on the show, so join us at 9 a.m. to live and share mental health together.
Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter. And podcast the show anytime on your favorite app. On this week's show, we cover the 23rd Amendment to the Constitution, talk more about Trump and Republicans implementing fascism, and discuss why Trump can't nationalize the California National Guard to crack down on protests. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter. And podcast the show anytime on your favorite app.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, showers and storms with a low of 56. Then Friday, more showers and storms with a high of 67. For more than 40 years, the Great Wall Restaurant has been serving up Szechuan and Mandarin favorites. The Great Wall is located just north of 50th in France on the Minneapolis-Edina City line. Check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Hi, this is Governor Walz. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awakened. This is Robert Pilot.
Hey, this portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
Hey, wow, we have an intense part of the show happening right now, and our friend Joe Gonzalez, who's a Brown Beret, and his friend are on, and we're going to explain what's been going on here in the Twin Cities. I know we got some good information today that she's been released, but I want you to talk to our audience out here. And first, I want you to introduce yourself. And Joe, if you don't mind, you can go first, and then we can talk about what's happening here in the Twin Cities and to keep everybody awake and aware. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Robert, for having us on this evening. My name is Joe Gonzalez with La Resistencia, and translated in English, The Resistance, a national chapter of Brown Berets. And we have chapters there in the Twin Cities also. So thank you for sharing space with us. And also a member of the American Indian Movement. We came on today initially when we called you, we were trying to still get Itza out.
Right.
So we were looking for support for that. But she's going to be released today if she hasn't already. And I can let the Sister S, who's also a Brown Beret, introduce herself. And being that I'm in Southern California, after she finishes speaking, I can give a little briefing on what's going on here in the area.
That'd be great.
What's going on. But first and foremost, let's concentrate on Itza. And Sister S was there in court this morning. So Sister S, would you like to take over and share?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for giving us the platform and the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate both of you. My name is S. I'm a member of Los Brown de la Resistencia here in Minnesota. I do harm reduction, immigrant advocacy, and community defense. So today we want to talk about something that hits close to home, and that's Isabela Lopez. She is also an activist and an advocate here in the Twin Cities. She's a poet, a writer, a danzante, and recently she was targeted by federal agents for a raid that occurred on Bloomington and Lake that has been all over the news. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. This is part of a larger pattern, in my opinion, criminalizing people that stand up, especially when they're young, brown, and vocal. She's not the first, and she won't be the last. And I think it's really important that we stand up and push back. So Isa, as we said earlier, Isa is free now on bond, but she's still going to need lots of support and love from her community as this trial goes on. So if anyone's interested and able to donate, you can donate directly to Indigenous Roots Cultural Arts Center. And that's through the Facebook page. And just in the notes, write that it's for Isabela Lopez.
Yeah, it's indigenous-roots.org/donate. Let's talk about what happened, because that's for people that we've talked about it this week. But I think just putting the pieces together, what happened to this young warrior that ended up out of the clear blue. Nobody knows how they knew that she was being interviewed by a podcaster, was arrested outside in St. Paul. So let's talk about what she's alleged to have done, and we know there's video that she did not do.
Yeah, of course, and everything I'm sharing is public information as well. She's being accused of assaulting federal agents. In the videos I have seen, I was not there. She is the one being assaulted.
Right.
And honestly, I really think the feds are trying to make an example out of her. I believe that their egos are bruised because they went into a community full of immigrants, and the community stood up and said, "You are not welcome here." And I honestly think that's why Isa's going through what she's going through right now.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then she was brutalized during that, where people were not happy with ICE and all these other organizations that were there, including Minneapolis Police, including the Ramsey County Sheriff. We had the Coast Guard there. We had all these weird things, and it was like a trial of what's going to happen when they go to a restaurant and try to arrest people, and people were not going to let that happen. And like you said, I think some of the egos are bruised, and then she was arrested, and it's ludicrous. So let's talk a little bit more about this. The video of her being arrested was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched it online, and as someone who's been in ceremony with Isa, shared space with Isa, that absolutely broke my heart.
Yeah, and again, people that want to support her and her legal fund, it's indigenous-roots.org/donate. And I do believe she's out right now, but there's also going to be a trial or a hearing in August. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct to my understanding.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. We are under siege, and Joe, you're in California, and you see how president has brought in people, taken over the National Guard, and then brought in the Marines for something that's happening in a very small portion of LA, and people living in LA are saying how ridiculous this is. It's been under control, but Trump's looking for a way to really escalate this, and we're really seeing things happening in the 2026 election that he's going to try and stop. Oh, we just lost Joe.
He was just there.
That's funny, Jaleesa. That's the second time that's happened today.
I honestly want to say it's the rain and it's the storms here in Minnesota for our listeners to know. We have lots of rain right now. I don't know if I'm just being silly, but if that's the reason.
Well, we can talk a little bit more. So, what we need to get some funding for some lawyers and people, legal action. We have to amplify this and pretend this is happening, because it really is happening. And I'm so happy that you're on and reached out to me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also important to talk about how Minneapolis is supposed to be a sanctuary city.
Right.
When a city claims sanctuary status, it's saying we're not cooperating with ICE. But time and time again, we've seen that promise broken, and local officials have turned a blind eye when these raids happen. And I think another course of action is that we need to demand that Hennepin County stops working with ICE no matter the circumstance. Because when one agency cooperates, it puts the whole community at risk. And I think it's important to say that ICE raids don't just affect one person, they traumatize whole neighborhoods. You know, kids get scared to go to school, families avoid the doctor, people stop reporting violence and abuse. And it sends a message to immigrants, and it tells us that we're not safe here. You know, and most of the time, these raids don't target criminals. They target workers, organizers, and families that are just trying to survive.
Absolutely. And that's the crazy thing. They're going to jobs to arrest people, that are working, and they're adding the community, they're paying taxes. So yeah, let's keep vigilant and keep talking about this. Joe, I don't know what happened, but I'm glad you're back. And I don't know if you heard any of my statement about California and the Trump administration, but wonder if you can comment on that.
Yes, excuse me. The reception in this area is really bad. So thank you for bearing with me. What we're witnessing here in California is kind of like history repeating itself. It's happened multiple times within the past here, especially in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has been known, we can go back to the walkouts, we can go to the Watts riots, we can go back to the Zoot Suit riots, or what they would call riots. And that's what they're trying to put it now as riots. I would say more than 90 to 95% are peaceful activists that are going out there. Right. Some of the stuff that the news is putting out there is only those 5% or those less than 10% of individuals doing radical moves. And as a Brown Beret, as a community activist, and as a humanitarian, we have to take in consideration in trying to get a point across. Our best method is to do it in a peaceful way, as Malcolm X would have done it in a more radical way. Some of us tend to think of Martin Luther King ways. I think both ways are going to have to take place, but that's not for me to say. But I only wanted to share that the Brown Berets do not condone this spray painting on the walls, these destruction of properties, whether it be personal properties or government properties. And it's a thin line out there. It's a hard line to be even on. But I wanted to express that, and I wanted to express also that we Chicanos, Mexica peoples are indigenous as well as throughout Turtle Island. So what affects us is affected, and it's similar to what has affected other of our indigenous brothers and sisters throughout Turtle Island. And we have to stay strong. I know a lot of people, when you go to those rallies, you see all ethnicities standing in solidarity with this sense of like, enough's enough already. And I see you say, 1 minute, enough's enough already.
Yeah.
And how can we move forward? We're going to have to move forward by working together in solidarity with all our indigenous brothers and sisters and all other organizers that are sympathetic to the cause of the unjust. I do not refer to them as immigrants. I would call them migratory brothers and sisters. And that's
Absolutely. Let's talk more about this next segment, because that's something that we really need to talk about. Who really belongs here on Turtle Island? Let's talk a little bit about that. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back.
Stay with us.
Minnesota needs diverse teachers who represent our students and communities. Explore teaching degree options at Metro State University's Urban Education Info Session in person at the Minneapolis campus on June 24th. Metro State's programs offer pathways to bachelor's degrees designed for those committed to serving urban communities. Visit campus, get an overview of teaching programs, and meet with an advisor. Sign up at metrostate.edu/urban teacher program. Become a teacher, shape the future. Metro State University.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a to-go card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. 612-373-3333.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Your heart beats for generations. Take care of it.
There's a lot that we can do to take care of ourselves. And so I think it's important to take the smaller steps and break it down into more manageable pieces, because the little steps leads to big changes.
Every beat of your heart tells a story of love, resilience, and hope. For Indigenous women, taking care of your heart means creating more moments with the ones you cherish. Let's protect that story. Learn more at hennepin.us/heart-beats.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our Minnesota wolf population. Say no to the hunts.
No. We always have to howl here. A little levity here. Joe, let's talk a little bit more about what you were saying here. I think people get a little mixed up about who's legal and who's not legal, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, because we're all relatives here, and there was a mass murder of people 500 years ago from this continent, and a lot of people don't like to talk about that, but I think it needs to be talked about, especially in these times.
Yes, exactly. And I think what we are is we're remnants of our ancestors. Once we were strong and many, but we're short and few. Or not, I wouldn't say not so. Well, everybody has strength in them, but the numbers are very limited into our indigenous peoples within all our DNA makeups. But we got to talk about the imaginary borders. And when they're talking about immigration and this and that, and who's illegal and who's illegal, these are imaginary borders that were forced upon our peoples, forced upon all our indigenous peoples, all throughout Turtle Island. So we're not just talking about the Mexican-American border, all borders.
Yeah.
And a good saying that's so often used is the borders did not, we did not cross the borders crossed us, shall we say.
Mhm.
But what's happening now, and we're seeing more, is Trump is egging the people on.
Mhm.
And we got to be careful, just like there was COINTEL in the days of past. They're very prevalent today. So we got to be careful who we associate with. And when we're doing mass demonstrations, we cannot control the whole crowd because we didn't bring the whole crowd. So but what's nice is if the majority of us continue to stay to focus towards justice amongst the peoples. And we're losing. The democracy here has been like brushed under the rug. It's like, they're not paying attention to the peoples, and what's really going on. You know, if they continue doing what they're doing, they're asking for. I mean, like, you back any dog up in a corner, whether it be even a little Chihuahua, he will bite you. So that's what they're doing to the peoples. They're backing them up into corners. And then if they say something or they speak something, us as protesters and activists, we're being targeted for speaking up, which is one of our rights. And that's what we have to be careful for. And that's what they keep on poking at us about. And then using the law, in their favor. But anyway, I talk a lot. Let me hear from any one of you all. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say before I could bring S on is that we know this from the George Floyd, is that we had all these bad actors drive in here from Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, Iowa, and raise havoc and blame the peaceful protesters. There's no way that an area would burn down their only pharmacy. These things that happen that. And that's one of the things I just wanted to bring up too, is one of the things, I'm going to be going to big protests here this weekend. And what they say is if you see bad actors acting out, sit down. And everyone sit down and leave them standing by themselves, because we do not stand for, like what you said earlier, Joe, we don't stand for that. We're here to make a point in a good way. What's your feeling, us?
My feeling on protesting is of course I lean towards peaceful protesting, and I'm not in favor of destroying our communities. But Martin Luther King said that riots are the voice of the unheard. So to an extent, I understand the anger, I understand the pain that people are feeling right now.
Yeah, and it's and unlike when we were younger, Joe, it is being televised. Everyone that has a cell phone can upload what's happening and be vigilant of what's going on. I'd love to have you guys on for a full show very soon, but I wanted to make sure that we had an update for our friend Issa, and I wonder if we could just do that one more time before we let you go, and just how we can support her and really move forward. Go ahead, Joe, if you wanted to bring something up there.
Yes, if there's any civil rights attorneys pro bono there in the area that are willing to step up, we would appreciate that. And I know Sister S is sending out the link for collecting some monetary values for legal defense, but it could even work out with some civil rights attorneys there in the area. The community knows best, and what we're asking is the support of the community, because it's not just happening there, it's happening across the nation. And real quick, Robert, you mentioned Saturday, I think they're doing the 50 states, 50 people.
Yep.
No King's Day or something like that. There's a little thing that's happening here in the local community, which I'm going to attend. But I if I could ask everyone else to try to do a little something, because what's happening is not just for us, it's for the next 7 generations. And let's be mindful of that. And with that being said, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Thank you so much for reaching out. You'll have the last word, young lady. Let us know how you feel and how we can support you and support. And I just before you say that too, I ran into at Powwow Grounds a person that listens to our show who is a retired lawyer. Maybe he can step up and I'm not going to say your name, but he introduced himself to me today, which is a listener. So just throwing that out there too. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. So here in Minnesota, we are actively recruiting new Brown Beret members. And it's not about militarism. It's about protecting and uplifting our people, showing up in schools, neighborhoods, with pride and purpose. And today we carry that energy forward. It's about self-determination, cultural pride, and building community that's safety-led. And as a Chicana, Isa is part of that legacy.
Yeah. Well, do you have any information on how people that are listening can reach out in Minneapolis and nationally with the Brown Berets?